Joe Thomas, who plays Simon, I think is extraordinary really, because he manages to play this dreamy, slightly hopeless, or very hopeless, idiotic young man, Simon, and probably think he was the bravest of the four, especially in the film where we've asked him to do specific physical feats which are very challenging. In the film he has to dive from the top of a boat, which is about 8 meters, and we have given him training for that, but I don't think any of us, and there were 200 of us on that boat watching him that day, I don't think any of us could have done what he did.
I've been learning how to dive with two coaches, one in England and one in Spain. So I've monopolised sort of diving training talent worldwide. Basically, diving's quite hard, but it looks like it's going to be quite easy, but you have to learn a special sort of jump and get used to the idea of diving off quite high heights.
This is Chris, my coach. So we've done, I guess, about 14. How many hours have we done, Chris? Like 14, 15?
You've done about 18 hours, and so far you've done 78 dives of 5 metre and the 3 of the 7.5 metre. Joe probably doesn't know, but he's sitting in the water at 30 miles an hour, and so it's going to be quite sore tomorrow through the shoulders. But over the last 3-4 weeks, we've been trying to get body really tight for the impact, because otherwise it feels like a car crash.
The boat that I have to dive off is 6.8 metres, according to my coach, who just measured it, but not with the tape, just with his eyes, and then said no, it's 6.8. It's quite precise, but I mean, he is a world champion diver, so I guess in a way, I'll let that go. So I was training off a 7.5 metre board eventually, although I also worked up training off lower heights. In diving, there are boards at 1 and 3 metres, and then platforms at 5, 7.5, and 10. To be honest, I love diving. It's a great sport. It's very sort of, it's very mental, like, because actually what you do, the dive is like 1.5 seconds or something, so it's not really about long sustained physical exercise. It's about this one thing that you've got to do, and it's about kind of preparation. I think it is actually quite a good sport for an actor to do, because the same sort of things that you need to do before a dive, you need to do before a take. You need to find a way of kind of putting away everything that's in your head, so that you can do what you've got to do. I'd recommend it to any actors, so that should drum up a few numbers for the old diving world. I think I could do that now if I had to. It doesn't look quite so high because it's further away, which is a phenomenon called perspective, which you might be familiar with. The scene we had to create was Simon on the boat decides to dump Carly, essentially, and swim back to shore to get Lucy. So he goes up to the top deck and tells everyone what he's going to do. There's a bit of sort of cheering and excitement, and then he dives in. So to do that, we shot that over 2 days. One in order to shoot the dive from the sea. We had a camera on a boat, and one in order to shoot the dive from the actual party boat that I'm doing the dive from. So it was quite complicated for the camera guys. They were on a sort of rope leaning back off the edge of the boat and shooting like that in order to be able to get the angle. There was also a camera on the crane, which I've mentioned, on a crane, looking down, or sort of kind of directly down, in a way you might get in the Olympics, I suppose. They sort of shot it like it was a sort of genuine sporting event. That was on the day we were filming it from the party boat, and then on the day we were shooting it from the camera boat, it was obviously more simple. It was more about me just kind of doing it.
That was a great dive. In fact, the 2 months of practice has actually made it work. He got the confident jump. He wasn't put off by the roll of the boat. It was quite a big roll, and good entry.
Oh.
Awesome.
Oh.
How are you feeling? Like just the release of
Yeah, I felt really
energy?
pleased with it. I think because I was mainly worried that I'd just do a shit dive and like it would be really embarrassing. Like, all that training would just be like, you missed it.
No, I can't get to see it.
I think they might have filmed it. So. The main difference from doing it in a swimming pool is the wind.
and I suppose the cold.
I cannot tell you how cold that sea is. I mean, just going in the sea is a stunt in itself.
But mainly, to be honest, the cold, you know, it doesn't really affect your technique, whereas I honestly was contending with the wind and getting blown around. And I thought when I was getting ready to do it, if I step on the edge, I'm going to get blown off. I'll get blown off into the sea. But actually, once you've committed to it, you actually have quite a lot of control. If you stand right on the edge of something, you don't want to do it before doing it because you think, I'll fall off. But actually, when you're standing right on the edge of something, you're not going to fall off because it's just like standing still. Like you always think, I'll lose my ability to stand still if I'm near an edge. But actually, you can stand still quite effectively. My diving instructor on my last lesson did a really amazing thing where he went up to a 10-metre board and he, just to kind of get me mentally accustomed, because I've never been off 10 metres, and I don't know if you can see this, but he did a thing where he went up to the edge of the 10-metre board, and this line here is the edge of the board. He stood like that on the edge and like that, and then he went like that and like that and just stood there, which really blew my mind. I was like, that's incredible. And then he was like, just kind of came back off. So the way I always think of a dive, which is a load of rubbish because I'm not a professional diver, I've just had a few lessons. There are sort of two ways in which the dive can be imperfect. One is if you're at too shallow an angle, which is called it being short, and one is if you've basically kind of gone vertical and are starting to go over. And when I entered the water, it felt really, really good the first time because you get this lovely sense of relief, because basically once you've got the jump right, it kind of all takes care of itself. You kind of go into the line-up position just instinctively. My instructor said it's not really a water sport, it's like an air sport, which is true, because actually the water is just there so you don't die, basically. It's more like gymnastics or something like that. Like it's to do with controlling your body when you're in the air, which is a kind of counterintuitive thing to do, because obviously the intuitive thing to do when you're falling is just to be like, I'm falling, I need to try and protect myself. So it's good, it's counterintuitive, and acting is counterintuitive as well, I think, because you know, it's about kind of controlling your mood. And so yeah, again, it's just a good sport for an actor, I think. It's good, I found it really helpful. Yeah, we did a scene where the camera was with a diver cameraman who was in the water with the camera in a plastic bag, and the camera was strapped to a bit of polystyrene, so it was kind of hashed together in a way. That's to film stuff where you're actually sort of physically in the water, where it's, you know, it's a nice tight close-up of somebody kind of drowning in the water. So that's how we achieved that. It's not technically difficult for me, but I think it is quite technically difficult for the cameraman because water gets splashed on the lens, and it's obviously quite hard to hold a camera to kind of keep the distance right between me and the camera, and it's just hard to adjust the position of a camera when you're in the water. One day we couldn't do that. We couldn't get the shots we needed because the sea was so rough that the waves were just coming in front of the camera. So, and the thing is, it's not meant to be like a disaster film. It was just the same thing we've struggled with the whole way through the shoot, is the fact we're shooting in March and the weather is just not how it should be. So yeah, that was kind of surprisingly hard to film, that bit, just me being in the water, not really doing very much apart from drowning. So after the dive and the drowning, Simon's rescued by a helicopter, which is probably my favourite bit of this whole film. It was a sort of a genuinely exciting sort of, I guess I could even use the word stunt. My job was to play the part of somebody being rescued, so it's not like I had to do anything in a way. We went to see the helicopter, which was gonna rescue me from the sea. I was thinking this is a country in which like cricket could work, because actually it's sunny most of the time, but actually it's just like mud, it's just sort of gravel, and then this is obviously just like carpet.
Should we put you into a helicopter?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think I was sort of wishing I was just
I know, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry.
Compared to doing actual rescues, I think it's probably comparatively easy rescuing somebody who's basically fine. The rescuer is lowered down on a cable into the water. He swims over to you, and the thing they use to hoist you up is the harness that goes under your arms and then kind of round through your legs and kind of clips on here. Like a bit like what you have if you go on a roller coaster or something like that. Apart from it really, really hurts, which obviously is not really a concern of anybody who's actually being rescued.
We bring your Zodiac in. You stay in there, in the Zodiac.
Which is that's the boat. Okay, yeah.
The boat. You stay there. Then we call the helicopter. As soon as we know the helicopter is up,
I pop out.
you pop out with the diver.
Yeah.
The diver is going to stay with you.
Yeah.
The helicopter is going to come. He's going to stay above you.
Yes.
For a sec, just to know where you are.
Yes.
Then he goes again. That's a run by over you again, and then they come in and do the rest.
Yeah. Brilliant. It was honestly, genuinely a really, really fun experience. You're hoisted up and they kind of sort of hold you in position so you don't kind of wave around in the wind. And then you're sort of winched up. And I mean, to be honest, it was just really beautiful, like seeing the sea sort of spread out, all turquoise and dark blue beneath me, with nothing between my feet and the water, was actually just a really sort of nice experience. Probably my favourite thing I've done on this film. So the scene is that Simon's talking to Carly, and he's sort of trying to hold his own as much as he can, given that it's basically his ex-girlfriend who's dumped him. And then he's going quite well, but then this other sort of basically more handsome boy arrives, and as if that isn't enough, he basically kind of doesn't really stop the quad bike in time and sort of brakes a little bit, but not really enough, and it just rams into Simon's legs, or my legs, which are the same legs. And then I've got sort of crumpled down in pain, so I might have to act that, depending on how it goes, or I might not have to act.
Oh, shit! Oh, fuck it!
So we had to make this little stunt of this. It was quite funny because I was told there were going to be sandbags around me, which seemed, to a certain extent overkill, but also kind of fine because it would prevent me literally just being driven into by a quad bike. But it was like one sandbag or something. It was like it wasn't really much higher than the curb. I mean, it was sort of the kind of thing that you would imagine would not make a great deal of difference to a vehicle. So basically the scene was just a bit like the quad bike crashing into the back of my legs. But it turns out that doesn't really hurt at all. It's absolutely fine. And James was by no means, Theo, who plays James, to be fair to him, was just driving it really, really fast and wasn't really braking at the last minute, which kind of, it was what you needed. It would have taken too long if he'd have been sort of pussyfooting around it. But he was really kind of going for it. To do the scene where somebody drives a quad bike quite fast into the back of my legs, they just did drive a quad bike quite fast in the back of my legs. We did it more or less as you see it.
I felt enormously proud of him, watching him do these stunts, which were really very difficult, from the helicopter or the dive, or any of the other physical stuff that we've asked him to do.
He's a hero. Really, yeah, man of the people. Joe Thomas, man of the people.
Oh yeah.
That'll win him an election. He'll love that.